I also wanted to ask you about the investigation into your families. But this is also part of her congressional.
But if this is what Congress is becoming, where they're always trying to intimidate you, scare tactics, especially attacking minorities, black and brown people, then we're going to have to keep fighting for the district.
America, Democratic Congresswoman Sheila Cherfilus-McCormick just got hit with a 15-count federal indictment for allegedly stealing $5 million in FEMA disaster funds and using the money to finance her 2021 congressional campaign. We're talking about a sitting member of Congress who allegedly turned hurricane relief money into her personal campaign slush fund while Americans were suffering from a natural disaster. But here's what's really disgusting. This woman won her congressional seat by just 5 votes. And now we're finding out her entire campaign may have been funded with stolen disaster relief money. Because here's what nobody wants to talk about. This is exactly the kind of corruption that happens when Democrats prioritize political power over helping disaster victims.
Serious charges filed against Florida Democrat Representative Sheila Cherfilus-McCormick, accusing her of stealing millions of dollars in federal disaster money. But she says that indictment is just to intimidate her.
What is up, guys? Tyson De La Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. While sitting members of Congress are stealing FEMA money, while Americans are suffering from hurricanes, you know the swamp needs to be drained completely. Let me break down this massive federal indictment that exposes how a sitting Democratic Congresswoman allegedly turned disaster relief into campaign finance fraud. Sheila Cherfilus-McCormick is facing 15 counts, including conspiracy, money laundering, and campaign finance violations. She's facing decades in federal prison for what prosecutors describe as a systematic scheme to steal taxpayer money meant for disaster victims and used it to buy her way into Congress. This isn't just campaign finance violations. This is theft from Americans who needed help after natural disasters.
Tonight, a federal grand jury indicting Congresswoman Sheila Cherfilus-McCormick and several associates, accusing them of stealing millions in federal disaster funds, laundering the money, and using part of it to support her 2021 congressional campaign.
The federal grand jury indicted not just McCormick, but several other associates, showing this was a coordinated criminal enterprise. They're accused of stealing millions in federal disaster funds, laundering money, and using it to support her 2021 congressional campaign. Federal prosecutors are alleging that she stole millions of FEMA disaster funds, then funneled that money directly into her own campaign. This sounds way too familiar. This means her entire congressional victory may have been purchased with money stolen from disaster victims. Here's how this alleged scheme worked. McCormick was the CEO of Trinity Healthcare Services, which received a $5 million overpayment from the state of Florida for C-19 vaccination work. Instead of returning the money, she allegedly kept it and used it to fund her political ambitions.
Federal prosecutors say Cherfilus-McCormick and her brother Edwin Cherfilus ran a FEMA-funded COVID-19 vaccination staffing contract through their family healthcare company.
When they received a $5 million overpayment, instead of doing the right thing and returning it, they allegedly decided to steal it.
U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi saying in a statement, quote, using disaster relief funds for self-enrichment is a particularly selfish, cynical crime, adding that they will deliver justice.
The timing of this is crucial. She used the stolen FEMA money to fund her 2021 campaign, which she just won by 5 votes. This means her entire congressional career may be built on the money of stolen money from disaster relief funds. The indictment reveals a sophisticated straw donor scheme where McCormick allegedly funneled stolen FEMA money to friends and relatives who then donated to her campaign as if they were using their own money. But she used some of that money for personal purchases, including a 3-carat yellow diamond ring. The prosecutors have documented how she moved the money from her healthcare firm directly to her campaign, violating federal campaign finance laws and stealing from taxpayers in the process.
Prosecutors, according to court records, say the Congresswoman used multiple accounts and straw donors to move money from the healthcare firm to her own 2021 campaign.
And here's what makes this case particularly outrageous. McCormick won her 2021 special primary election election by just 5 votes to replace the late congressman. Now we're finding out that her entire campaign may have been funded by stolen disaster relief money.
Prosecutors included texts showing the Congresswoman using straw donors to get around laws limiting the amount of money people can give to campaigns.
5 votes. That is the margin that put her in Congress, and now we're learning that her campaign was allegedly funded with $5 million in stolen FEMA money. Every vote she bought with that stolen money represents the theft from disaster victims who actually needed it.
If convicted, the South Florida Congresswoman could face up to 53 years in prison.
That's essentially a life sentence for somebody who allegedly stole disaster relief money to buy her way into Congress. The fact that she won by such a narrow margin makes this alleged fraud even more significant. If she hadn't stolen that FEMA money to fund her campaign, she might never even have become a Congress member. Now let's talk about McCormick's response to these serious federal charges. She's claiming the indictment is a sham, and she's claiming she's innocent, but the evidence appears overwhelming. She says that she's innocent, but federal prosecutors don't bring a 15-count indictment without substantial evidence. The text messages, financial records, and witness testimony they've gathered suggest this case is far from quote-unquote a sham.
It's an unjust indictment, and it seems like these intimidation tactics have been pervasive.
She's claiming that it's an unjust indictment and claiming these are intimidation tactics, but that is exactly what every corrupt politician says when they get caught. The evidence will speak for itself in court, guys.
And I look forward to my day in court so I can prove myself and actually state the truth.
Well, she's innocent until proven guilty, but federal prosecutors seem to have a very strong case with financial records, text messages, and multiple witnesses. Now let's talk about House Majority Leader Hakeem Dollar Store Obama Jeffries' pathetic response to this scandal. Instead of condemning the alleged theft of disaster relief money,
Democratic Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries said she's innocent until proven guilty.
At some point, I'll issue a statement, but I'm waiting on the opportunity to have a conversation with Sheila.
Dollar Store Obama is trying to deflect and protect his corrupt colleague. But Jeffries has his own problems with Jeffrey Epstein that he doesn't want people talking about.
Well, let me ask you about you, because the White House has been highlighting an email that I'm sure you've seen today that Jeffrey Epstein got in 2013. They say it shows you were soliciting money and dinner from an Epstein. The email was not sent from you. It was sent from a political consulting firm called Dynamic SRG that says, "We are thrilled to announce we are working with Congressman Hakeem Jeffries. Shoot us an email or give us a call if you would like to get involved."
Yeah, of course, I have no recollection of the email. I've never had a conversation with him, never met him, know nothing about him other than the extreme things that he's been convicted of doing. And that's why, I'm just strongly supportive of the effort, backing the survivors to make sure that everything can come out, whatever is in those Department of Justice files.
There it is. Hakeem Dollar Store Obama Jeffries was soliciting money and dinner from Jeffrey Epstein in 2013, after Epstein was already a convicted sex offender. Jeffries Dollar Store Obama claims that he has no recollection, of course he doesn't, of emails and never met Epstein. But his own consulting firm was actively soliciting money from a convicted sex offender. This is the guy who's now trying to defend McCormick's alleged theft of disaster relief money. What we're seeing here is a clear pattern of Democratic corruption where party leaders protect each other regardless of the evidence. Jeffries defending McCormick even though she's accused of stealing $5 million from disaster victims, while he has his own scandal involving Epstein.
What's your response to the recalls from some of your colleagues to step down or resign?
They didn't elect me. It was my district. And so we'll keep fighting for the people and keep working like we're doing now.
The fact that Jeffries is defending somebody accused of stealing FEMA money while he has his own Epstein scandal shows how corrupt the Democratic leadership really is. They protect each other instead of protecting the American people. A potential forced vote on expelling McCormick from Congress is on the table. This is exactly what should happen to sitting members who are indicted for stealing disaster relief money.
Republican Congressman Greg Steube writing on social media, Cherfilus-McCormick needs to be swiftly removed from the House before she can inflict any more harm on Congress, her district, and the state of Florida.
When you're accused of stealing $5 million, you shouldn't be making laws for the American people. Expulsion requires a 2/3 vote, which means some some Democrats would have to join Republicans to remove her. But given the severity of the charges and the evidence prosecutors have gathered, this should be a bipartisan effort to clean up Congress. America, the indictment on Sheila McCormick for allegedly stealing $5 million in FEMA disaster relief funds exposes the depth of corruption in the Democrat Party. This woman allegedly stole money meant for disaster victims and used it to buy her way into Congress by just 5 votes. Her claims that this indictment is a sham ring when federal prosecutors have text messages, financial records, and witness testimony documenting her alleged crimes. The evidence includes straw donor schemes, money laundering through multiple accounts, and personal purchases like a 3-carat diamond ring bought with stolen money. Hakeem Jeffrey's defense of McCormick is particularly disgusting given his own scandal involving Jeffrey Epstein. His consulting firm was soliciting money from a convicted sex offender, yet he has the audacity to defend somebody accused of stealing money from disaster victims. Every vote she may have bought with stolen FEMA money represents a theft from Americans who needed help after a natural disaster. Republican efforts to expel her from Congress are exactly what should happen when sitting members are indicted for stealing disaster relief money. She shouldn't be making laws for American people while facing 53 years in federal prison. This case shows why we need to drain the swamp completely. When Democrats can steal disaster relief money to buy congressional seats while their leaders defend them, the entire system is so corrupt from the top to the bottom. Let me know what you think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.